So welcome. I'm super excited that you're here today. Yes.
Yeah, I
And
got here. Yay.
all the way from Australia. And
Yes.
let's talk about what series of events. Let's rewind back time. What series of
Mhm.
events led you down this rabbit hole of monetizing from a Facebook group? Um, you know, and then what had you enter into like Ignite? Tell me, like, what did you do to find out about us and then enter?
Well, I mean, it started with a poop ad that I found that I saw on Facebook. And I was like, okay, this looks interesting. What's this all about? And then, and then I just sort of, it kept popping up for me. So I thought, I'm going to check it out. I joined your live and learned about the GOLD formula.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, I've never thought about having a group. I think at that point I was in the transition of just starting my group. So I probably had about 20, 30 people in there. And I thought, okay, yeah, cool. I mean, if this is another way that I could bring people into my circle and reach more people, then that sounds amazing. Let's try it out. Spoke to you, and I think, I don't know, it was a really small number in the group, but you were like, yeah, it's definitely possible.
How many
It's still
people were in your
possible.
group at that time?
If I recall correctly, maybe just about 100 or just
100.
over 100. Yeah, it was a really small number. And we went from there. As I did the challenge over the 3 months, the group also grew. I mean, it's at about 400 now. It's huge growth. Anyways, I'm really happy with the growth, and I've had 3 people come into my program as well from the challenge. And I sort of combine like things that I've learnt as well, because I was also working with a digital firm, like a marketing firm, who was actually doing more like direct sales training, like how to have those conversations, and then combined with the stuff that I was learning with you guys, which was heaps on how to set the group up, how to use the gold approach, and how to approach people, how to talk to them online and that sort of thing, and then bring them into the group and everything. So yeah, putting it all together was really kind of fun, and I learned a lot along the way. And I was dealing with Michael most of the time, and he is awesome. He was just super helpful, and yeah, we made it through chats even when he was in, where was he, in Ecuador, I think, and it was just storming like where he was, but he was still managing to kind of help me out. And really appreciate him for kind of the extra mile that he went in the process.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, Michael is amazing. The whole team is actually the whole team is amazing. The team is, if it was just me, if it's just me, I wouldn't be able to keep up with everyone and do everything. But thankfully, I have a really amazing team, and they're
Yeah.
able to not only, like, for the longest time it was just me doing a lot of the calls, but after a while I saw that my team members could replicate
Yeah.
great results for my clients. And that's one of the things that helps people like scale out from this one-on-one world more into like a group coaching scalable format. But let's get back to you, Meryl. Awesome. You saw a poop ad. Guys, I love that you're commenting. So I love that you're showing up, JS and Han and Daniel. Priyanka's here. A bunch of you guys are here, and so excited that you're joining us today. I do want this interview to be interactive, so ask Meryl some questions. I'm going to be asking Meryl questions. Ask me questions. And so, Meryl, you saw the poop ad. You're like, okay, this makes sense. There's a method to this madness. And your group was 100 people. You're like, it's only 100. I've seen groups with thousands, right? And it's still, you're like, okay. And then you got on the call, and I said, yeah, you can do this. Like, yeah, you can go and monetize even if your group is 100. Now it's 400 several months later, which is enormous. That's like a really big leap, and I really, that's really cool. The thing about you, Meryl, is that you just go for it. So I want to get into when you come into the program, you talk about the gold method, which some people watching here like have no idea. But I want to see like what series of things did you do after you entered Ignite that led to success? Like, what are these things? Is it a call? Is it a video? Like, how much do you consume before it led you to understand like, oh, this is gonna work? Because a lot of people feel that way in terms of like programs out there, because they're kind of like, oh, great, they say that it's possible. They say that they think I can do it or I can do it. But then when I come in, they like just drop the ball or something like that. So tell me your experience in what do you consume, what things that you do that at that point you're like, okay, this is gonna work.
Okay, I'm gonna be really real with you, okay, Kim? Because when I first started, I was like, okay, I don't know, she's talking some jazz, like as if I could do this, right? Like with 100 people, how's this possible? And then I got in there and I saw all the content and it was heaps of stuff. But I did feel a little like, gosh, I'm just like, I'm left with all these things, but I don't know where to go from here. And I'll just sort of start. And I didn't even have my first call with Michael until like sort of well after my first launch. So I sort of felt a little bit alone at the start. And I thought, okay, is it just, a lot of noise? But then when I spoke to Michael, because the first launch was okay. Like, I mean, considering like that it was my first one, I think I did really well, but I didn't have a lot of help doing it from you guys, but I did all the content. Content-wise was great. Like your content is amazing. I loved all of your online stuff and that it's in bite-sized chunks, so it was really easy to digest. But then I jumped on a call with Michael and he really made me feel like, look, it's kind of, he didn't say this, but I feel like in a way it was a good thing it happened that way because it sort of threw me in the deep end. And I'm one of those people, like I'll figure it out. I'll learn to swim. So I did. And that's why I feel like I had a really good first launch, considering I kind of I didn't really hear from your end too much. It really relied on me taking a lot of initiative. And I like that because you said that at the start, you want to work with action takers. So got in there and then I think what really took it to the next level was those conversations, those accountability conversations with Michael along the way. And also, Althea would check in, which was really nice. And of course, there's all of the coaching that you guys provide as well, which is heaps. Like my morning, for me, it's like super early, but like my whole morning is full because I put it all in my calendar. So there's a lot of support available. I think just initially it felt like a lot. It felt really overwhelming because you're getting emails left, right, and center, but you're kind of trying to figure it all out on your own at the start. So for me, I feel like the accountability calls was a step that took me over, not because, yes, there were some really like key nuggets that he gave me in there, especially around one-to-many pitches, which was my probably challenge area because I struggle talking about the money.
Yeah.
But I think more than that was just like matter of fact mindset advice. It was like, Meryl, like, yeah, of course you can, whatever, like, whatever I was going through in terms of the money stuff. He was like, yeah, of course you can do that. Or yeah, why not? Kind of thing. Like it was very matter of fact. And for me, I was like, oh, I can't argue with that. Why? Well, yeah, of course I could do this then. And so I think that's what made it possible. For me, it was a lot around the mindset. So the conversations really helped.
Yeah, I love that, Meryl. And I love your real response. And the reason why I bring clients on who like come in and they're like watching a bunch of videos and just going for it can say that, hey, look, you're not just watching some video recordings of old Zoom calls. It's really bite-sized and it's really step-by-step. And so you're really modeling after a business that if you're just going at it, you can still follow like super bite-sized step-by-step in order for you to get going and have a launch. And some of our clients come in and they say, yeah, like I jumped on my accountability call right away. And I feel like, it was more live support that they really loved. and they didn't even watch a lot of the videos at all. So it bringing you on, it's like clients come in and there's just different levels of experiences, and whether that's more course reliant or more labor reliant, we have the balance of both. And I believe when you jumped in, I think we were running our live event like in person, or there was something going on that week that was like taking all of our resources.
Yeah, that's right. The one in, I'm not sure where, in Mexico, I think, right?
Yeah. And we have those once every 3.5, 4 months. So it wasn't like that's a daily regular occurrence. Usually like you jump in, you get your call right away. We were just like tied up. But again, that comes to show like you that you're like, hey, I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to go dive into the videos. I'm going to see like, what is that next piece? And then you said that after the call with Michael, it was a lot of the hey, this is something that you can do. You got this. That enabled you to take it to the next level. I do want to. So how long were you in the program before you did your first launch?
Not long. I think it's 5 weeks. Yeah. So I picked it because I got into the content pretty much straight away, like probably about after 2-3 days, and then set a date straight away. Because one of the first things in the first module, I think itself, was like set a date, first or second module. So I did. It was about 5 weeks in.
Oh, 5 weeks in. Awesome.
Yeah, and I have a team, like, I have a little team of VAs, so I had some help in some things for sure. So that really helped, especially in like reaching out to people.
I love that. So 5 weeks in, you do your launch, and I'm asking Meryl these questions, you guys, because I would talk to some of you and I would say, well, how long have you been in your program? 6 months. Okay. When did you launch? I didn't even do it yet. So there's like a really big difference, because we really would push you to go and do it. And Meryl being an action taker, and she is right. Meryl's right. We will enroll you if you're action taking. If that's the type of client that you are, that's the type of client we love working with. And Meryl's action taker all over the place. So 5 weeks in, bam, you're not waiting for like months on end and to perfect a bunch of things. It's like, let's go. And 5 weeks. And we do have questions from the audience here. Someone said, hey, Kim, you rock. Ran my challenge last week. Book calls until Friday. All right, let me know, what is your name? StreamYard won't show me your name, but I'm glad that you're running your challenge last week. A question is, how often were you touching base with each of your prospects? How did you navigate the time management allotment factor? Great question, Meryl. So
yeah, that is a good one. Are you going to answer that? Did you say?
I can answer that. You should you should. So I'll answer it and Meryl can answer. How often are you touching base with each prospect? It's like daily, especially during the training, multiple times. How did you navigate the time management allotment factor? I do have quite a bigger team. So my team just goes for it. And they also have end of the day reports. They have the number of messages they should be sending, the number of emails, the number of calls, the number of text messages as well. So keeping them accountable to that, because a lot of times people they mistake their failure for the lack of, when in reality it's the lack of volume, and in reality it's the lack of reps, it's the lack of follow-up. And they're like, oh, I'm just talking to a bunch of people with no money, but that's because they talked to 2 people, So for me, in order to keep you accountable, we have end of the day reports. We tell you, hey, this is what we're doing. We're sending out these many emails. We're doing this much. And because of that, these are our results. Well, if your group is a little bit smaller, you have less of a team, you still need to be able to have them every single day go and do these activities. So for Meryl, how would you answer that question? How often were you touching base with your prospects for your 15K launch? what did that look like for you?
Well, I think the first set of prospects from the first challenge, I probably didn't follow up enough, and follow up is the key. Like, it's absolutely the key, because when I did it the second time around for the second launch, and I did it really vigilantly, because for me, if I'm speaking to somebody, I'm really vigilant about following up with them. But if they didn't attend, which a lot of them didn't attend on the first challenge, they just signed up and didn't attend. I kind of like, it was a procrastination move on mine. I don't know. Like, it was just like I can't be bothered, and I was making excuses for not doing it. But it is super valuable to follow up with your people, because probably all of my sales really were from people who, actually one of them did attend quite actively, but the other two, they didn't attend really actively, and they just knew my work. They had sort of seen me around, but it was the follow-up and the conversations and the looking after them part, the nurturing, that really made them go, cool, okay, I really trust this person. I'm ready to join. So I think, yeah, it's super valuable. Like, I can't even say how valuable it is, because even at times they wouldn't have attended at all the challenge. They just registered. It took them even a little while to finally book in the call, but because I stayed on them, they finally did. And it was in that conversation, they were like, okay, cool. Now I can bridge that over from knowing you online to knowing you kind of in person. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah. And you were consistent, which is like you launch and then you launch. You're not, and you've been around as well. So what is it about launching into a group that made a difference for you in terms of like conversion? Because one of the things that I get asked a lot is like, let me just I'm just gonna brute force my way to DMs and everything like that. Like, how did you jump on a lot of those calls before? Like, you knew how to do a one-to-many. Like, and what did that feel for you? What did it feel like to go from that into the type of calls that you get after someone has watched your videos and that one-to-many pitch?
Well, I have done one-to-many before, not a lot, and I have done one-on-one heaps before this. So I was really used to that part. So the transition was fine, but learning the one-to-many, as I said, like as I did the launch and learning how to do them even better, that really helped, because the gap then started to close down a little bit between, how they knew me through that whole online, like where there's no direct interaction space, to then directly interacting on a one-on-one call. And I really didn't target just my group, to be really honest with you. I have a pretty good following already, like on LinkedIn, especially a little bit on Facebook. So I leveraged that, to be honest. I leveraged that more than anything. So what I would do is actually post, so all of my, because I didn't do any advertising, I did all organic. And yeah, I did it all with posting in groups, a little bit on my profile. I mean, I post on my profile every day anyways, but a little bit about the launch, but primarily posting in groups, like through, storytelling, and then calling them to action. Like, yeah, this is one way you can kind of take whatever it is that learning was from that story and apply it through joining the challenge or whatever it is, so sort of bringing them in that way. In terms of advertising to the group, I don't really, and then this thing, I don't have the numbers on it, but I don't think I really got many from the actual group. I got a couple, but I think that now I can really use the group really well, because there's 400 people in there. And I think, as I said, like, it's just because I have a good following already, I use both my LinkedIn profile and the group.
Yeah.
So I didn't just rely on the group.
For when
but using the groups, using the pop-up group, I think was really helpful, because it created some level of separation and sort of exclusivity for anybody that gets into the program or gets into the challenge.
Yeah, the pop-up group method allows you to really like know that they're all there for one reason. They're all there for the training itself. They're there, and you're able to go and offer them, like be able to pitch in that little group. So awesome. I know that you've had a history of, you've done one-on-ones. You're not new. You're not green. And we love being able to enroll clients who are at this level, and we can help them at that level. Knowing that you're not green, like what made you say yes to investing into another program when you're like, hey, I already know so much? What had you decide on that? And I'm asking this question also because a lot of times people are like, oh, I'll just go and do it on my own. I'll do that first, Kim, and then I'll come back later. And I'm like, okay.
I get the same thing from like my clients, and I know from my personal experience and sort of most of my entrepreneurial buddies, really, that you can certainly do it on your own. It'll probably take you a lot longer, but investing in yourself is number one. That's my number one asset. That's the asset that's going to pay off the most. So I'm always ready to invest in myself. And the only time I'm going to say no to you is one, I have like $0 available to invest, or two, I just feel like I've elevated from that learning now, and I'm on to the next thing. That's the only two reasons that I'll ever say no to somebody. But yeah, honestly, like I think that I was always going to invest in myself, and I never know everything. I know a lot, but I never know everything. And even at, 100K months, 200K months, I'll still be investing in myself. It'll just be something else. So I think that that's key. Like it's for anybody, really, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, like investing in yourself, it's just your biggest asset.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a buyer. I buy everything as well. I always invest in myself. What is it about our program specifically have you go, okay, this makes sense? Like coming into, saying yes to yourself again. What is it specifically that had you go, this makes sense for me?
Well, I think the fact that you use the group to leverage the income, and I think that that really struck a chord with me, because I wanted to create a community, and I feel like in my space, I'm in the sustainability space, and community is a big one for most people in any space, really. And I was hearing it a lot from the people that I was talking to. So I knew that if I'd created a community, a safe space for them, and then nurture them into coming into my sort of inner circle, this was a really good kind of process, like kind of stranger or out there, like vacant follower to community, in the group to inner circle. It made sense as a stepping stone. So yeah, that's what drew me in it, and I felt like, yeah, this could definitely work. And I never also run a campaign like a launch like this, a challenge basically. Like I've done, masterclasses, I've done launches for other things like new programs and stuff, but running it like this was really good. And also it made me, not that I realized it at the time, but it made me really bump up my price and realize my worth as well.
Oh, wow. So
yeah, like big time bumps up my price.
Oh, so before you did this challenge into a Facebook group method, you've done master classes, you've done other like trainings. The difference was when you do this, it allowed you to charge more. You said it allowed you to bump up your price because the cart was going to close, or because, before there, like what, I guess my question is more on the lines of how did what you learned in Ignite with this, launching into a group, how did that change the way that you've been doing your business? And you did touch upon it allowed you to charge higher, but like I love asking, like kind of poking into the details versus just like, oh yeah, it allowed me to do this. So what is in that? Like, what are the implications and the things that you experienced that made you go, okay, this is the difference?
Well, there was two levels, and like this is what I tell people as well when I talk to them about setting their own price. You guys gave the structure and how to set up your formula, right? The formula that you're teaching people, and then what that means in terms of a price, and then added to the deliverables and so on, right? Like you gave that formula. So I followed the formula and I'm like, oh, cool. So now this is what it's worth. And it was a lot more, right? But then I also talked to Michael and he was like, yeah, but also blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I can also charge that extra amount because of this. So there was both the formula and the logical reason why I was like, gosh, I can put it all together. It makes real sense. Like there was like, I don't know, 15 line items to price up then. It was really clear, like, okay, this is worth this is worth this, add it all together, this is the total cost, a total value. And then also then speaking to Michael, I go, oh, wow, so I can also charge more because I didn't sort of value myself just anyways on a basic basis. Like, so there was also that level of mindset is what I'm getting at. There's like the logic and then there's the mindset.
Yeah, and it works in tandem together for you to like get to that like next level, charge higher, because you know, because you have a framework and a blueprint to like model after. You're like, well, that's what they're charging, and this is what I have. Then you have more confidence and conviction to charge really what you're worth. And I would always challenge you to charge higher still, because you know, you think that it's that, and then you know, there's like a next level and a stretch.
It's really true.
Yeah.
But your process of using the formula and really like putting out the line items, and you start to lay it out, and you go, wow, okay, this is what this is actually kind of worth. That really helped. That really helped kickstart everything, because I was like, shit, I'm charging way too little. Like, yeah. So that was a really good step.
Yeah, I love that, Meryl. How? One of the questions I want to ask you is like before. I love you guys submitting all these comments. Separating all the individual working parts of an offer does help reinforce self-worth. There's also a question: pop-up group, like a group within the Facebook group? No, it's a Facebook group separate for your training. It's one of the methods that we tell you to do, because everyone is on the same page for that training, focus on one thing, versus, you know, in a main group, you going, okay, there's a training now, everyone's gonna participate whether they like to or not. So it's very much only the people who say yes to attending your next training. So Meryl, like, go ahead.
I have something to say a little bit on that pop-up group that might help, because when I did my first challenge, I did a pop-up group. So there was my main group had like, 150 people. I did a pop-up group to separate them out. And I had about 40 people register, but 5 were really active in the training. And then the second time around, I thought maybe I'll just do it in my main group. And by then my main group had grown to maybe 250 people. And I did it in the main group, but I still only had about 5 that were active. So it really depends, right, on like where it works. I think it really works based on how you run your challenge and how effectively you draw people in. So you can also run it in the main group if you've got a small group. But I think that the pop-up group, that level of separation, especially as you get like a larger group joining and you get them more engaged, it really works effectively to kind of create that exclusive space for them. Like they've actually earned their spot there because, they've registered, they've gone through the process and all of that. So that was my like little experience with that.
Yeah. Just because you have a bigger group with more people doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden they're going to show up more. It is about their permission, them saying yes to coming, and then the follow-up piece of them saying yes. Human beings like to, be asked first before they go and be like, just to get hit with training. Even as small as booking a call. People who book a call themselves are more willing to show up than if someone else does the booking for them, just because they that micro commitment of like, yeah, I'm the one that clicked that button and I'm the one that chose that time. Like we have seen that made a difference in terms of show up rate as well. With that said, Meryl, I love that you're like, you're really expanding upon as well, like with your own experience. That's why I have these interviews too. So before you joined Ignite, what was the landscape of what you're gonna try to do? And then after you join, like now, how do you feel moving forward? How has your plans changed? And then how has the outlook on your future of what is possible for you changed? Like, give me like a before this, and then after, like now I'm gonna do this.
Well, I mean, I think I ran my first challenge in June. So I would have joined you guys like at the start of May, I think. And before that I had a reminder on my phone at the start of every month, like run the masterclasses, right? That was the plan, like run the masterclass campaign. And that was going to be my way of bringing people in. It was a free, 1 hour, 90 minutes masterclass. And that was the plan at that point. And when I saw the ad and I thought, I'm going to try something new, invest in myself, do all of that stuff, good stuff, running the challenges. And then I think towards the end of our time together, I also attended a challenge that was quite different. And then sort of putting those learnings along with all of your amazing learnings in Ignite, it meant like, gosh, I can really take this to another level and another level and another level. Like there's so many ways to do this. This is really exciting. And I've seen it work. Like it definitely works. So yeah, I'm going to keep running them like every month, even though at the moment, because I don't run ads and all of that, and I haven't got it fully streamlined yet, it is quite a bit of work, but I feel like it's worth it for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And then I'll get it to a point where I'll have enough capacity and money as well to just streamline and automate everything as well. Or have to be in there so manually.
Yeah, the scaling part is the reason why we have a year-long program is because it does take it. At first, you're going to figure out your launches, you're going to go in your convert, but then in order to have really a consistent engine that is converting every single month and the delivering and fulfillment is to scale out with a team and knowing who to hire in what order, knowing what type of contracts, knowing what are the numbers you should be hitting, knowing the expectations of each team member. It does go far beyond just like launching and converting. And a lot of times people have trouble with just that. So at the beginning and being consistent, I'm really excited that you're like, I was doing this other thing and that was the thing I was doing all the time to, okay, now I'm going to do this. Because if you told me that you did this other thing and then you tried this and then you're now going back to the other thing, then I'm like, oh man, failed.
No, I deleted those reminders out of my calendar, so there's no more. No, they're not happening anymore. Like this is definitely the way forward from here on, and then let's see what from there.
But and it was it because you said it's work, there's still a lot of work into it. Even though it's a lot of work, what is it that made you go, hey, I'm gonna do this versus like the thing that I have been doing? Like what was that? What are the things that made you go, this is it, like I'm gonna do this now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I decided after my first launch where I didn't make any money, right? So it wasn't that it was the money thing. I think it was because I knew through this launching process, money aside, which eventually came, it's the fact that I brought so many more people into my like broader, like, so I call it like, it's more like that broader kind of following. And then so many more people joined my group as a result of it, so many more engaged conversations and opportunities to have these one-on-ones, which I was wanting to build up as well anyway. So these campaigns or the challenges really help build up the bookings in my calendar to have these one-on-one conversations. So yeah, it was really just like this overall like building of the community in all of the areas and all of the levels, really, that I thought, yeah, this is a great way to do this. And it's a lot more lucrative to somebody than just a masterclass. That you could bolster a masterclass and do some other things, but the challenge gives you all these like levels and things that you could do, like, you know, the engagement and points to get the scholarship and the you know, live versus the VIP and all of those things. So yeah, it was definitely like the overall building and the lucrative nature of a challenge compared to a masterclass.
Yeah, let's dive into the lucrative, because your topic, you know, let's discuss some of your topic, because a lot of times I get asked, "Hey Kim, will this work for me?" You know, I have this topic or I have that topic. I teach this. You know, I don't teach make money online like you, Kim, like straight up. And I'm like, well, you know, it's one thing for me to say, yeah, it's gonna work. If, you know, it's just like on our call, I was like, yeah, this will work. So in your words, what you teach in your topic, can you share a little bit about that, and why, you know, why is this model more lucrative than your masterclass model, given your niche?
So I would say this is more lucrative than the masterclass, mainly because there's just more levels to it. There's more layers to it. So you can sort of, again, get commitment. And then, so it's like levels. It's like you get the commitment from the person, and then they get added to that level of exclusivity. And then again, they commit and they get added again to another level of exclusivity through the campaign process, because part of getting them in is also onboarding and having these conversations and getting them to say yes, and then again yes to the next thing, and yes to the next thing. So I think that's what makes it more lucrative, because people just see like there's more value in it as well, right? They're getting a lot more. They're getting conversations. They're getting connection and support. So that's one thing. In terms of what I teach, yeah, like I feel like you can definitely make money teaching anything, like, because our IP is so individual because of our experience and of course like our academic and professional experience, but also our personal experience. So yeah, in terms of mine, what I do is, you know, I'm a sustainability professional, and I've been I started my own business consulting to businesses, but realized that there's value in sharing with other entrepreneurs who are starting their own sustainable business or their own eco business, to helping them build their business, because that way there's more people doing these great things in the world. And that's why I started this. And yeah, I really feel like everybody has their own individual IP, just as I do, and you can certainly share that in a way that your right people are going to find you and be drawn to you. And the people who are not into you, that's cool. You can polarize people and they will just, you know, go their own way. So I just feel like everybody can attract their own little niche of people, not niche, but, you know, group of people, community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's gonna, you know, even if someone teaches exactly what you teach, but they're a different person, it's like the experience of you make you unique. You are your own package.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like you can throw a ball, someone else can throw a ball, and it'll be totally different.
Yeah, like, and you know, every time I speak to somebody who joins my program, you know, part of it is like I ask all these questions that probe in to them and their lives, and they always have incredible stories. So there's always something really interesting that people can get drawn into, and you just never, people don't always realize it for themselves, that they actually have something really valuable to share with the world.
Yeah, I love that, Meryl. Yeah, Meryl teaches businesses to have to scale sustainably. And for me, it's like one of the biggest questions is, can I do this? And will it work for me? I have a specific niche. I'm teaching this thing. It's not mainstream. And I say, yeah. But on that note, I also like to ask, what are, like, with Ignite, who do you think it's for, and who do you think it's definitely not for? You know, in your opinion, going through our trainings and our material, like who do you think it would fit? And it could be, I've gotten the response of it's for anyone that wants to monetize from their Facebook groups, if they're a coach. But I always love to hear like your answer to that question.
Yeah, I really think that it's for anyone, because anybody can teach somebody based on, as I said, their professional, academic, but also life experience. Like all of that put together makes you a really unique learning tool for others, right? And the right people will get drawn to you. So I really truly feel that anybody can benefit out of it. Yeah, and I think that the question is them just realizing that they've got value to share. So yeah, honestly, like I had more to the answer, but I can't remember right now. But honestly, I feel like anybody can get value out of it.
Yeah. And in terms of your return on your investment, I know that you're like, hey, I did my first launch, didn't, you know,
Yeah.
wasn't successful, try it again. So I love the fact that you're like, it's about the process and it's about learning the process and having that with you. It's something that we can't, you know, no one's going to ever take away from you. When did you feel like there was that it was worth this investment? Because some people tell me like, hey, Kim, I've invested so much already, like everywhere. And there's a very real fear, especially with the economy, you know, when there's all this inflation going, like people are a little bit more careful with their investments now. And at the same time, people are still investing all over the place, left and right. What is it that, like when someone comes in with that type of like fear, what would you say? What would be your response?
Well, I mean, content wise and just attending the group stuff, or the sort of the general stuff, which is engaging the content on your own, attending the group coaching calls, all of that is really valuable. I think definitely worth the money. But I think what really makes it more than valuable, right, is having those one-on-one conversations. And that's the point at which I go, okay, yeah, this is worth it. So that, you know, took me the first 5 weeks to do the launch, talk to Michael after that. So that was, you know, good like 6-7 weeks later. But that was when I was like, okay, I feel really good about this. But I do feel like everything was really valuable, to be honest, because the content that you guys share, it's like, it's crazy. There's so much of it, for one, but it's so easy to digest. And yeah, and I found it really valuable. Made it really easy to follow the process. And then, yeah, added to it with all the coaching calls. Yeah. Everything you've got at a baseline level is really valuable.
Yeah. What would failure, like, one of the questions I get asked all the time is failure. Like, how would you fail, given all the support and the one-on-one and helping you along the way, and then the module? Like, how would you fail? How would you answer that question?
I would fail, and it's not the money. Like, the money would be a result of it. Like, not making the money would be a result of this. But it's not the money that I would deem as, like, not making money is not the failure. I think the failure is not believing that I'm worth that money, or not believing that I'm worth this when I'm, you know, telling people or sharing that information with them and feeling like an imposter while doing it, or sharing my pitch with them and feeling like, you know, not good enough and not worth that money that I'm asking for. So I feel like a big part of it, the big part of the failure is not going through the mental elevation that you need to go through. That would be a failure. And I think as best you can in the modules, you do sort of talk through like a few mindset things, you know, and I think that it's just as important.
Yeah.
So yeah, not elevating through the process would have been a failure, if anything.
Yeah. Did you feel like, I know you're a go-getter and you're gonna win no matter what. How did, the reason why people invest in coaching is to shortcut time. How did you feel like time was shortcut for you, or things were more shortcut for you versus like you're still doing your masterclass, every month like clockwork, or like how did you feel Ignite collapse time for you?
Probably in literal senses, it collapsed time by like 5 times. Or maybe something like that, because it was taking me a lot longer to get people into my program. And even my my launch of my group program, it failed, and that's okay. Like I was okay with it failing. Like I had like a couple of people join, but one was a scholarship, one was paid. So it definitely didn't work the way I intended for it to work. So it didn't start off as a sufficient group, but the challenge really helped that.
Yeah. And you're going to keep on going. So it's like you're going to enroll. So tell me, what did it feel like to enroll your first clients or your clients when the challenges, like you didn't give up, tried it again. And, take me through that experience.
Sorry, I missed the question.
Take me through the experience of you finally, like, I know that in your head, you're like, this works, I just got to keep at it. But when it finally started clicking, take me through that experience of you like enrolling your clients, because you did 15K. Can you walk me through that, or how did you feel as things were like, oh wow, I know it's worked, but now it's like here,
It was the way that I followed up with people after, because the ones that joined, they'd been following my stuff already, so they knew me already. And they sort of liked me, I guess, because they joined the challenge. Like they joined the challenge, so they must have sort of liked me. But it's that whole trust, right? So they kind of knew me, they liked me a little, and it was just getting them to really like me and then trust me enough to give me their credit card. So that the challenge really helped with that, and the follow-up process really helped with that, which was calling them all, like as much as you want to just go, gonna take a rest, like after this challenge, you need to follow up the week after, like as in straight away, in that week straight after the challenge, you've got to follow up. Then that's like critical time. And then it the second week after, it's still pretty important, but they start to kind of go, who are you, like who are you again? What challenge? I mean, they did remember, but it's just the momentum is kind of lost. Right?
Yeah.
And also they're like, oh, it's been a while. Like, why are you calling me now? If it's been more than 2 weeks, especially. So yeah, the follow-up process, calling them and then tracking that, what kind of conversation we had, and then going on from there to make sure that they get to the point of actually booking in a call.
Yeah. And so it's the follow-up process. It's you. And one of the things that I say is, you might get new people, but it's bringing out from the woodworks all the people that have been following you all this time, and they're just waiting for you to have that offer. And this amplifies their ability to see that you have an offer, and it becomes more than their peripheral vision. You're just kind of like, what's that in the corner? And in this day and age, yes, people do have busier lives, shorter attention spans. That's why like several weeks after, people are like, what? but in that moment, it's an opportunity to give yourself more of a fighting chance to have the people that have been following you for a long time go, oh, wow, I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to say yes, because you showed me consistency. You showed me that you're there. I've been following you, but there's a trigger. Like they've been following you for a long time. Why haven't they invested in you until now? It's kind of like a pattern interrupt that happens. Into a higher, more premium offer where people didn't identify their problem as like this lower ticket problem before, or just even if it's like a few thousand lower, or just, you know, a few $100, they didn't really identify themselves as that. So you're really attracting those people out of the woodworks. With that said, my interviews are usually an hour. I respect your time, Meryl, and you know, want to make sure that I wrap up this conversation with a few questions. You can answer in whatever order. If someone was on the fence with Ignite and they're wondering whether or not this is a good investment to come on in and learn what you have learned and executed and will continue to execute, what would you say? And also, where can they find you? Who is your best fit client that you serve? Where can they find you online? Because people who are watching this interview might not, you know, resonate with me, but they do with you, and I want to be able to send them your way.
So if you're sitting on the fence, I think that if you haven't found a way to reach the people that are following you, and you know that they are actively following you, to get them into a place of actually trusting you to be able to give you a credit card over the line, I think this is the way to do it. And this challenge, this program really gives you a really clear process of getting people through that whole, you know, because they already know you, they like you, getting them to finally trust you, because you're giving them so much value through this challenge, and the way that you guys teach to set it up gives a lot of value to our people. So I think that, yeah, it's definitely a yes for anybody that is sitting over the fence. And in terms of finding me, I support other eco entrepreneurs. So it's not just about scaling your business sustainably. It's about, if your business is sustainably focused or purpose led, then reach out to me, because I've got a lot of experience working in this space. So I guess the best way to find me is Meryl Sukumar, Sukumar, and that's on LinkedIn or Facebook. And I would love to have a chat.
Meryl, Sukumar. All right, so you heard it here, folks. Meryl, I'm gonna just show it up here. I mean, Meryl, your name is already there, but I just want to highlight that. So find Meryl Sukumar online on LinkedIn. You can find her on LinkedIn and have a chat with her. People are saying, so great to hear your story, Meryl, especially soberly in the morning. Well, it's evening for me, you know, that's why we're like, it's pretty international here.
Yeah.
And Meryl is in Australia. So, all right, you guys, I am so excited that you are able to show up today live. If you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments, like, what are your thoughts around monetizing your group? What are you trying now? What do you want to try? Really curious about your thoughts. And also, Meryl, thank you so much for showing up. I call it shooting the shit with my clients. And it's like, you know, this interview is to really pull out the nuances, like like, I don't like to just ask superficial questions. I really like dive a little bit deeper. And I love that how you're really honest as well. Because the truth is, everyone's experience is very different. And especially when they've gotten success, it's like, all right, like, you failed at your first launch, and then it's still okay, you know, do it again.
Exactly.
And I love that resilience. So I'm really excited about the future ahead for you and what you have to come. And all the people you're going to be helping and serving. I'm now going to put you back into the green room, Meryl. Remember the green room?
The real one.
The real green room.
Don't throw me to the upside down, please.
But yeah, I love these chats. I'm going to put you there. You can click X to, go back to your daily life and help your people and change the world. So I'm going to go ahead and put you back there now. All right. So thank you so much, Meryl. That was Meryl. She's amazing. She's such an action taker. I wanted to bring her on today to show you that, hey, you don't need to have a big Facebook group to really do this. when you have an audience using this method, you're able to have people stand up and come out of the woodworks and say, hey, you have an offer? Cool. It does make a very big difference versus someone being able to enroll with you and get into your offer whenever, wherever, at a lower price point. It shows that you can charge what you're worth, no matter what it is that you're teaching, especially if you have a niche or you have a specific topic. And really, it means that, you know, we come into this space really wanting to help. We sit with our expertise for years, some of you guys even decades, and some of you become the unsung hero of your story because, you know, the gift that you have to give, all the things that you've learned, you really want to be able to share it in a way that gives you energy because it's financially abundant for you. It helps you build out a team. It helps you take care of your family. And number two, every single day, the reality that we get to craft out for ourselves is we can wake up to people saying thank you, you know, that there is a real impact, one person at a time, as you're going through this journey. And that's what, to me, this is about. It's about being able to bring your voice into a way where it can actually be heard. And then having you go and put in the reps, go and put in the time that is that is needed, the respect that is needed to really scale out your company so that you can take time back for yourself as well. Because you didn't get into this to put yourself through another job. You got into this to really change lives. And that's what we help you do. Okay, with that said, I'm going to click end broadcast. And I'll see you guys. Our cart is closing tomorrow, midnight Eastern Standard Time. Go to groupconvert.com/ignite in order to come on and book a call with us, because we qualify every single person. So I'm going to drop the link above. It's also at groupconvert.com/ignite for you to schedule that call. All right, you guys, I will see you. Congratulations to those who already enrolled. Alyssa, Sonia just enrolled yesterday. Congratulations to you guys, and talk to you guys. See you in the next video. Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.